friends, I'm Carrie Jo, and this is Holy Chuckles Podcast, a space where all meets honesty and where God's gentle humor shows up in the people he chooses. So pull up a seat, take a breath, and let's look together for the sacred in the everyday and the quiet laughter of a God who delights in working through our imperfect stories. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Holy Chuckles Podcast. I know we skipped for the Thanksgiving holiday, and I hope each and every one of you had a great Thanksgiving. I'm going to start back with 1 Samuel 1, and it's going to be in verse 21 through 23. Let me go ahead and read those verses. When her husband, Elkanah, went up with all his family to offer the annual sacrifice to the Lord and to fulfill his vow, Hannah did not go. She said to her husband, "After the boy is weaned, I will take him and present him before the Lord, and he will live there always." "Do what seems best for you," her husband Elkanah told her. "Stay here until you have weaned him. Only may the Lord make good his word." So the woman stayed at home and nursed her son until she had weaned him. Elkanah goes to Shiloh to fulfill his yearly vow. He goes every year to give a sacrifice, to pray. This time, Hannah stays home. She needs to nurse and wean Samuel. She tells Elkanah, "I'll go up when Samuel's weaned." Elkanah blesses her and the decision and goes about his way to offer his vows. That's the literal version of verse 21 through 23. Now, let's get into the symbolic. Remember, in our past episodes, we talk about Elkanah, our divine essence, our divine order. In this case, it's going to be our spiritual consistency within us. It's a representation of that part of you that keeps showing up, worshiping, even when your circumstances shift. Just like in the literal version, Elkanah, his circumstances shifted because his wife Hannah, who usually goes with him, didn't want to go because she was weaning their son. His circumstance shifted, but he said, "Honey, I hear you, but I still got to go. I still got to take care of me and my relationship with God." Hannah, our inner soul that has conceived something sacred, a new awareness, a calling, or a spiritual purpose. Just like with Hannah staying behind with Samuel, it wasn't hesitation, it was holy awareness. It's the same for us. When we stay behind, we don't go out, we don't go and do the things that we normally do. It's our holy awareness. We're just staying in and kind of being with ourselves, understanding what's going on within ourselves and making that connection, making that bond. Hannah in the Bible knew timing matters. Our soul, even if our physical body, our mind doesn't know it, our soul knows timing matters. We need that time to be able to adjust to what's happening when we are coming into this awakening. Then you have Samuel. Samuel in the Bible was Hannah's baby that she prayed for. And Samuel symbolically is our new consciousness or revelation being born through our soul. It's our purpose, our divine hearing, our alignment with God. It's said in the Bible that Hannah needed to wean Samuel. Weaning symbolically is the stage where dependency transforms into maturity. When what God birthed in us no longer relies on consistent emotional reassurance. We don't need everyone telling us, "Oh, it's okay, everything's good." That stuff doesn't matter because we know we are connected with God. What we're understanding, where we're getting our information is coming from a higher place. It begins to stand on its own divine identity. It begins to make sense because we are living it. God is working through us. I am that I am. Let's go into Elkanah's words. He says, "Only the Lord establishes his words." It's our divine masculine agreeing with our feminine intuition. I want to say this because I know there'll be some men out there saying, I'm not feminine. I want to let everyone know we all have a divine masculine. We all have a divine feminine. That's what we're made up of. That's what our soul is made up of. And that divine masculine is the thinking, the planning, the putting things together, where our divine feminine is our nurturing, our loving, our softness. So before you get offended, everyone has it. It's what makes us. We each have a divine masculine. We each have a divine feminine. When Elkanah said these words, it was the inner confirmation that says, yes, trust the process. Only the Lord establishes his words. So Elkanah, our divine essence, is giving us inner confirmation that says, yes, trust this process. Let God finish what he's started in you. How this resonates with me is my Elkanah, my divine essence, the part of me that remains steady in my devotion. It doesn't matter if someone is staying the night, if I am going somewhere or I have a busy schedule, that doesn't matter. I'm going to keep my schedule. I'm going to go out in the morning. I am going to pray. I'm going to put my feet in grass. I am going to talk to God before my day starts because it's necessary for me. It's the inner spirituality, my soul, my inner, that doesn't quit on God no matter what, even when my outer life feels uncertain or confusing. When I keep praying, even when I don't feel heard, keep praying, even sometimes when I don't want to. Keep worshiping, even when it doesn't fix things right away. That's a big thing for me. I want instant gratification, but I can't have that because maybe it's not time for that. So I have to keep worshiping, even when I don't see the results right away. I have to keep surrendering when my mind wants to control or fix things. This is another huge one for me. I am a fixer. I had a problem with control. I want to fix, correct, make everything right. And it can't be that way because it's not about my timing. It is about God's timing. My Elkanah is the anchor of faith within me. That part of me that says, I will go ground, I will pray, I will talk to God, even when I don't feel good, even when I'm tired, even when my day is busy, even when I'm running late. It does not matter. My divine essence requires that. My soul, my Hannah, is in the season of waiting. Hannah equals heart longing. It equals divine feminine. Elkanah equals spiritual backbone, divine masculine. Again, we all have both of them. It is how we are made. Hannah equals the soul within me that is quietly nurturing what God has planted. I'm staying quiet. I'm moving slowly. I'm protecting what God is forming inside me. I'm listening day by day rather than rushing into decisions. That is very hard for me. I am a rusher. I am such a person that can't just hold things. Well, let me correct that. I was a person that couldn't hold things. If I bought someone a gift, I literally had to give it that day because I could not contain my excitement. I have had to learn to set still in the moments, even when I'm so excited or even when I don't understand, I still have to set still. This podcast is a great example. I want it to be weeks ahead, but literally I'm recording 1 week before I put it out. God is speaking to me each week. So I can't go as fast as I want to. I have to go on God's timing. And boy, has this been a lesson for me. I thought to myself when I started this and started doing the literal and the symbolic and what resonates with me in these verses, that man, I'll just read them, I'll pray about them, I'll understand them, and then I'll show how it resonates with me. And I can move weeks and weeks and weeks on ahead. God said, slow down, Carrie Joe. That's not what we're doing, because not only are you going to learn the literal, the symbolic, but you're going to live how it resonates with you. So I am literally living how this story resonates in my life right now. And that is why I cannot move as fast as I want to. I am moving in God's time. Samuel is my Holy Spirit led awareness, my divine hearing. And I want to say this. Everyone has the ability to have divine hearing. It's your true relationship with God. It is your true connection with Source. It is when you surrender, you put everything aside and nothing else matters but you and God. Everyone has this ability. If someone tries to tell you that you do not have the ability or you can't have the ability, they are lying to you. They are lying to you. Every single person on this planet has the ability to connect with God, to speak to God, to hear from God. There is no person that is more special than the other. We all have the ability. You know what? Why I'm on it, let me go right here. I hear all the time, the chosen ones, a chosen one, or people saying, you're a chosen one, or I'm a chosen one, or how to be a chosen one. Guess what? Let me say this, and I'll say it very loud for those in the back. There are no chosen ones. None. There is not one person that God chooses over the next person. Not one. No one in this tapestry, in this artwork that God is creating, no one is more important than the other. No color is brighter than the other. We as individuals, we as people, we are the ones that do the choosing, not God. God is not choosing one over the other. God is asking us to choose him. So, for clarity, there are no chosen. We are the ones choosing. And when you choose God, and when you do the real work with God, when you take full accountability for your actions in the way that you lived, in the things that you did, in the hurt that you caused, when you fully surrender and give everything that you were, are gonna be to God, you are able to have divine hearing. You are able to have Holy Spirit led awareness. This is not a gift that is just given to some people. This is a gift for everyone but you have to choose the gift over everything, everyone, and you have to fully surrender. So when I say my divine hearing, it is, I just know what to do. I don't even know how I know what to do. I just know what to do. I just know what to say. Sometimes I don't even know how I know what I'm saying. I just know what to say. It's a voice that guides my steps, shifts my heart, moves me into actions, moves me into new actions. This voice keeps me aligned with God, even when my path is unknown. I stay in alignment. I keep my faith. I move forward with my lamp, one step at a time, because I know God is leading me. The weaning is spiritual weaning, sacred transition of not needing outer reassurance, not needing people's opinions, which I needed so desperately before, not needing comfort. I would get upset and I would run to someone so someone could tell me everything's okay. I don't need that anymore because God tells me daily everything's okay. And my faith allows me to know in my heart of hearts that no matter what, everything is okay and everything will be okay, even if I can't see it right now. Even if I am in the storm, I know the storm is going to move and I will be okay. I no longer need validation. I don't need anyone's validation. I had someone make a comment. I have to say it was my favorite one thus far. And it said, "You are delusional." I'll take it. I'll take it. Because quite frankly, to be this way, to know these things, to have this relationship with God, I probably had to start in delusion. I know I had to start with just saying, screw it. My life wasn't great before. Going this route can't hurt. Let's see what's going to happen. After I did that and I started moving forward, it just all made sense. I appreciate that comment because it made me think where I came from before and where I am now. Even though that comment wasn't positive validation, it was the validation I needed to understand how far I have come in my relationship with God and in my relationship with myself and finding my true authenticity. Now I'm learning to sit with my feelings. And sometimes it's very, very difficult. Sometimes those feelings don't feel good, but I still have to sit in them to understand them. I'm learning how to hold discomfort without collapsing. I'm staying grounded in God rather than in people. When people disappoint me, that's okay because they're just people. Because God never disappoints me, ever. I never now hold people to that standard of making me feel happy, sad, angry, excited, because people are people. Where I hold that accountability is within myself and with God. I make myself happy. I upset myself. I make myself sad. And I have those choices Therefore, now I pretty much stay in joy. I stay in hope. I stay with my faith that everything will turn out the way that it's supposed to, the way that me and God are co-creating this life. I'm trusting the process even when it's silent. The new me, the me that, man, I am loving so much. Even in the hard times, I am loving this new me. This new me is becoming strong enough to stand in my own spiritual identity. So when I get the comments, you're delusional, they don't bother me. In fact, they make me think, my old life, I was delusional because I thought I was happy. My old life, I was delusional because I thought that's how we were supposed to live. My old life was delusional because I was not me. Elkanah's words, only the Lord establishes his words. For me, it's sitting still, believing quietly, staying consistent, trusting God without forcing anything. Man, just staying in the flow. And I have never been a person that flowed. My shoulders have been up to my ears. I have stayed in stress and anxiety most of my life. But now, man, I am just sitting in the flow of things, trusting God without forcing anything. You don't want a relationship with me? Cool. You don't want to hang out with me? Cool. You think I'm a weirdo? Cool. You don't want to listen to this podcast? Cool. Nothing bothers me because I'm trusting in God. I am letting God build the promise instead of trying to push it, force it. I am letting God do what God does. I am living in that blessing, not waiting for the blessing. My inner masculine is supporting my inner feminine intuition. I am just being, just living, just worshiping, just being. And it feels pretty good. Let's move on to 1 Samuel 1:24-28. After he was weaned, she took the boy with her, young as he was, along with a 3-year-old bull, an ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord at Shiloh. When the bull had been sacrificed, they brought the boy to Eli, and she said to him, "Pardon me, my lord. As surely as you live, I am the woman who stood here beside you praying to the Lord. I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. So now I give him to the Lord for his whole life. He will be given over to the Lord," and he worshiped the Lord there. Literal. 1 Samuel was old enough to be weaned. Back then, between 2 and 3, I'm sure it's the same. I've never weaned a child before. Hannah brings Samuel to Shiloh along with a bull, wine, and flour. The items that she brought were far more than the minimal offerings. Honestly, it was really generous and probably more than a lot of people brought. The child was very young, again, between the age of 2 and 3. They perform the sacrifice offering, and Hannah presents Samuel to Eli. Eli was the priest that was at the house of the Lord in Shiloh. Hannah says to Eli, "Hey, remember, I'm the one who prayed. I was in anguish years earlier, and I prayed for a child." She testified that God answered her prayers, right? She was like, "Here's my baby." She fulfills her vow by bringing Samuel for a lifelong service. And then Samuel worshiped the Lord there, marking the beginning of his consecrated life. So that's basically what happens. Hannah fulfilled her vow because remember when she asked for this child, when she prayed in anguish, when she begged for this child, she said, just give me a child and I will give the child back to you. That was her vow. Now let's go to the symbolic of it. Hannah, our inner soul, longing for transformation. Samuel, the divine within you. Eli, external spiritual structure, institutional faith. When Hannah weaned Samuel, it was a moment of release. Symbolizes the transformation from dependence to readiness. The moment when what God has given you is mature enough to be entrusted back to Him. The bull is a fullness offering. Bulls are costly sacrifices. They represent the body, mind, and soul, all offered to God. It's the total consecration, not partial. Hannah isn't giving God a portion of her devotion. She isn't cutting Samuel in half and keeping half for herself and giving the other half to God. She is giving the whole of herself and the whole of her vow and the whole of her child, her only child. The flour and wine is sustenance and joy. Flour equals sustenance because it made bread, so it's the daily bread. Wine equals joy and celebration. So Hannah not only brings a sacrifice, the bull, but also celebration. She's offering not only obedience, but gratitude and joy in that obedience. She is offering her child, her vow. She offered the sacrifice, the bull, and now she's offering wine. She is celebrating that she is fulfilling her vow to God, even though it's giving up her one and only child. Shiloh, a place of peace and rest. It's the inner sanctuary of the soul, the peaceful reunion with God. It's the place in your spirit life where your long prayed prayer finally meets God again, not in desperation, but in fulfillment. Bringing Samuel to Eli. Surrender to divine guidance. It's releasing control, releasing answered prayer from your own grasp and entrusting God. Saying, God, what you gave me, you now guide. It's releasing everything back to God. Hannah's words, memory transformed into praise. Hannah said, I am the woman who stood here praying, acknowledges the journey from barrenness to answered prayer. The soul remembers its past anguish, not to mourn it, but to magnify God's faithfulness. Remember, Hannah is the inner soul. She remembered, I was the woman standing here praying. She remembered her past anguish. Our soul remembers its past anguish. Hannah said, for this child I prayed. This is every blessing you hold now was once a longing. Hannah held her longing in her arms. It recalls the seed form of every answered prayer. Hannah acknowledged she was the woman praying in anguish. She's telling Eli, for this child I prayed. It's that soul recalling the form of that seed, the form of that prayer, and it's answered. She's holding her answered prayer in her arms. And then she says, I have lent him to the Lord. I'm giving him back to God. It's the same thing for us. I have surrendered. It is surrendering. When she says that, the symbolic of it is surrendering. Samuel, symbolically, Samuel is the physical manifestation of divine hearing. When prayer becomes a living reality, he worshiped the Lord there. Worship is a natural response to fulfillment. Samuel's first recorded act was worshiping. Every true gift, once surrendered, becomes worship. This podcast is worship. How these verses resonate with me. I decided to go on a physical spiritual journey, what I referred to as a goodbye tour, a pilgrimage through places that shape me, both beautiful and unbearably painful, a literal arc of my life. Hannah's act was not just giving a child to Eli, it was a 3-part spiritual movement. Acknowledgement of her story that shaped her, honoring God's faithfulness through the pain, releasing what defined her so she could walk a new life. My goodbye tour had the same 3 movements, only instead of dedicating a child, I dedicated my past, my identity, and every piece of my story that shaped me. I wanted to honor my past, to acknowledge all the versions of myself who lived through these places, the young girl, the student, the partner, the survivor, the hard worker, the one who was abandoned, the one who was hurt, the one that kept getting back up. I decided I would do this goodbye tour on November 15th. I honestly don't even know why I picked that day. I just did. And a couple of days before this goodbye tour, I wrote it out. And just doing that was cathartic. I even made a plan just in case I didn't want to physically go, how I would do it in my mind, imagining the places, going through the prayers, the rituals, and the affirmations. I was not sure if I physically wanted to go to each of these specific locations. I was going to do what was right for me when I woke up the morning of the 15th. But either way, I had it planned to physically do it or mentally do it while sitting in my home. Either way, spiritually, I was going to go through this process. My spiritual journey started even before November 15th, and I really didn't even know it until I sat down and started processing everything that happened. Even before I made the decision to do this goodbye tour, I had contacted a childhood friend and wanted to see if she wanted to catch up and get some lunch. And the only day she had available was November 14th, the day before I was going either physically or mentally on this goodbye tour, this spiritual journey. Rebecca and I made some plans to have lunch on the 14th at a certain time. And she happened to text early that morning that her workload was going to take longer than what she thought. Could we push out the lunchtime? No problem here. So I decided to go ahead and clean my apartment, like thoroughly clean my apartment. So whether I was going on this spiritual journey mentally here in my apartment or physically, either way, I either wanted to do it in a clean home or come back to a nice, peaceful, clean home. I cleaned my apartment thoroughly. By the time I was done, I was ready to meet Bex for lunch. We sat down for lunch and was catching up on what was going on in her life and some of what was going on in my life. Finally, I told Becca about my pilgrimage and said I was going to make a day of it. That was the moment that I made up my mind that I was physically going to go and have this experience. Her thoughts were, all in one day. My thoughts, I just need to do it. And not just I was thinking I just needed to do it. Something inside me was telling me this is how I needed to do it. And this is what I needed to do. When I go back and look at this goodbye tour, this pilgrimage, it looked easy from start to finish because it just kind of flowed. And I thought that very interesting. At lunch, and I don't even know if Rebecca noticed this, the song Carry On My Wayward Son came on. So at lunch, I received my first breadcrumb. Pun intended. At lunch, breadcrumb. Anyway, because I received this first breadcrumb, I wanted to go see one, who wrote Carry On My Wayward Son. Couldn't even believe I never went and looked this up, even though I love this song so much. And it has played in a lot of things that I have been doing over this time in my spiritual awakening, my journey back to God. So the person that wrote it is Carrie Livgren. I could be pronouncing that last name wrong. The first name, Carrie, didn't go unnoticed. Carrie, didn't go unnoticed. The songwriter said he was exploring deep spiritual questions during the period when he was writing this song. The song is about a struggle between ego and enlightenment. I just have been talking about Hannah and Penny, the ego and the inner soul. These are the things that I've been going through, letting my ego go, living from my inner Hannah. How awesome is that? This is what this song is about. So not only did this song play a part in my decision that I was physically going to go, but I also knew that I was going to, or that I needed to do this journey, because the time that I was having lunch with my childhood friend fit perfectly when I decided to do a spiritual journey of closing cycles, reclaiming identity, stepping into a higher version of myself, a higher version of myself with God. I am that I am. Without even knowing, I was bringing myself into awareness. My soul was asking, who was I? What did I need? What have I survived? What have I learned? What do I want to take with me into this next version of myself? My childhood friend represented innocence, true self, identity before trauma, versions of me before I was hurt. When I say my childhood friend represented these things, it doesn't mean my childhood was safe. In my testimony in episode 3, I tell part of my childhood and the traumas I encountered. This doesn't mean I didn't experience trauma at an early age. This means at some time there was a version of me that existed, even if it was for a brief moment, who deserved safety, love, protection, stability, innocence, joy, even if life didn't give me these things. The before trauma self doesn't refer to time where no trauma happened. It refers to the part of myself that should have been protected. That part still exists in me. It's not about what actually happened. It's about what my soul was meant to have before the world failed me. We ended our lunch. It was a great lunch, and I was super pumped now about this journey. Went home and started getting myself ready for the next day. On November 15th, 2025, my spiritual journey, my goodbye tour, it started. I woke up fairly early. I was excited to do it. The night before, I didn't sleep very well. In fact, the night before, I did a lot of talking to God because I knew this was going to be an emotional time for me. And I knew I needed God's support. And I needed God to be with me every step of the way. Before I left my apartment, I started with my intention and an opening ritual. The intention. I stated, I walk through the places that shape me. I bless the parts of me that survived. I release what no longer belongs with me. I step into the life God has prepared for me. My ritual. I lit a candle for 5 seconds. I touched my heart. I took in 3 deep breaths, and I said, God, guide my steps. Let this be holy. The intention in the opening ritual was an activation. This is the moment my journey became a spiritual pilgrimage. This opened a door of intention. Lighting the candle. It was fire. Fire represents spirit, light, divine presence, clarity, purification, protection. Lighting the candle for 5 seconds, not having the candle lit all morning or, for 3 minutes. It meant no long flame needed. I needed an activation. I signaled to the universe, to God, to my higher self, this journey begins now. I am ready. I lit a lamp for my path. I didn't light the candle lit the journey. When I touched my heart, I invited the inner child. I connected to emotional truth. I acknowledged my worth. I led with compassion, not fear. My heart was open before I even opened the door to leave. When I took in 3 deep breaths, breaths equal spirit, alignment, presence, embodiment. 3 breaths specifically. Past, exhale what I was. Present, receive what is. Future, prepare for what will be. When I said, God, guide my steps, let this be holy, this invoked divine guidance, and God answered. And boy, did God answer. I'm excited for the next 2 episodes because buckle up, because this ride is amazing. I experienced all of this, and I'm still in awe of what happened. I'm excited to share this journey with you on episode 11 and 12. Thank you so much for joining in. As always, I appreciate all of you. Thanks for joining me for Holy Chuckles Podcast, where we remember that God's calling doesn't always make sense, but it's always full of grace. If today's story reminded you that you too are seen, chosen, and loved right where you are, then that's the light shining. So until next time, keep your heart open, your laughter genuine, and your light shining. Well, I'm gonna let it shine.